My name's Jamie Lee, and today I'll be doing a review of Daryl Dixon episode 4. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the titles of this series because I would totally butcher the French pronunciation or the French accent of these titles. So I'm not even going to go there. Episode 4 is what I'm reviewing, and it is one of my favorite episodes, if not my favorite episode. Maybe my favorite one was the second one, actually, because, I mean, who doesn't love Daryl saving kids, right? I mean, as if they couldn't make us love this character any more than we already do. And they throw in animals and they throw in kids, and my heart's going ba-boom, ba-boom. Love Daryl, loving this show. So this episode starts off really weird. We get this dream sequence, or I think it's a dream sequence. There's so much controversy about what people think it is, whether it's a flash forward, flashback, a dream sequence, or if it was the present day. And it was really hard to tell because you get Laurent praying and they lead you to believe that the reason why the zombies aren't attacking him is because, you know, he's the Messiah and he's praying. But then Daryl wakes up and he's underwater. So it's sort of like he dreamt all that. And I do believe it was a dream because I feel like he needed that dream sequence or that nightmare of Laurent being attacked in order for him to wake up, because obviously he would have been bit by these zombies that are underwater attacking him. So he kills off these zombies that are under the water, which was really cool to see too. It's exactly where it led off from the week before, where he fell through the rooftop and he fell into this underground, you know, pool of water or whatnot. But yeah, it was just really confusing because it was like, so has that happened? Is that the present day? What is going on here? Very, very strange. Anyway, on to the present day. So in the present day, Daryl is looking for Laurent and Isabelle, and he comes across, I think his name was Anthony, the pigeon bird messenger man, and he doesn't want to give up his pigeons. So he goes out to try and defend his pigeons and get them back from these soldiers, and they shoot him. So that was a little bit sad. Daryl comes in like a boss, no hesitation, taking these men out, these soldiers out. And then Anthony's on the ground and he says, you know, let the birds free, the birds, the pigeons, the pigeons. It's very, very sweet. And Daryl just carries these pigeons over and, you know, helps the men set them free before he passes away. So that was a really beautiful moment. Again, making us fall more and more in love with Daryl. But yeah, that was a really sad but also a very sweet moment there. So Daryl makes it to Isabelle's apartment and Laurent's not there. Daryl suggests going to the Eiffel Tower, which obviously is a payoff for last week's setup where they were explaining that they've never been to the Eiffel Tower, they've never seen Paris, things like this. And obviously Laurent has that picture of his mum and she's standing next to the Eiffel Tower. So Daryl suggests going there. And of course at the Eiffel Tower, Laurent is there and we get this awesome shot of him looking up at the tower, which was really, really cool. And we see all of these, like a horde of walkers that are barricaded in beneath the tower. And that was a really cool shot seeing them. And then you see, you know, the eyeball looking through this hole at Laurent. So you get this sort of like little jump scare there. And this walker seems to be one of the smarter types that we've been teased with. It was kind of like he was coordinating these zombies to burst out because suddenly they burst out. He hides under this like metal sheeting. Meanwhile, Daryl and Isabelle are just going at it like bosses. It was just super cool to see them fighting walkers, and a lot of them too. Isabelle's just going in with the knife, and Daryl, and this is probably one of my favorite things about this show, is Daryl really feels out of his comfort zone. Like he is a fish out of water, and they signify that even using his weapons. At that episode that I was talking about before, my favorite episode number 2 with the kids, there was a crossbow there and he could have taken that and been the Daryl that we know from the Walking Dead series that we loved. But instead, they write him in with, you know, this knife and this ball and chain that he seems to be using quite a lot. And he just looks so badass despite what weapon he chooses. You know what I mean? It really does make it seem like he's a fish out of water and that he's really out of his comfort zone being in Paris. Anyway, so while those two are being total badasses, swinging things around and just stabbing things, it was so cool to watch. We see a close-up of Laurent hiding, and this zombie crouches down and reaches out to attack him. So we know obviously this walker is very different for the ones that we're used to seeing. And then next minute you see somebody stabs it and automatically you think, Daryl's saving the day again. And then we find out that it's not. It's 2 of Quinn's men and they are trying to capture Laurent to take him hostage. So we see Laurent get taken away in a car and Daryl grabs one of the men to interrogate him. This interrogation scene showed us that Quinn wants Laurent so that he can, well, the theories on that are quite confusing, but he wants Laurent either to have Laurent as his son or to get Isabelle back, one of the two. And so he's using him as a hostage. Meanwhile, he can use Daryl as a trade with Janae to get pretty much whatever he wants because she wants the American, right? But this interrogation scene was super cool. I'm sorry if that comes across as like really weird, Daryl just going on a stabbing spree, but just the story and just seeing Daryl back in that sort of attack mode, like I would do whatever to protect my family mode, was awesome. I love seeing that. And yeah, the acting from the guy was brilliant as well. And then we get that scene where he's walking and Daryl says bon appetit when he leaves this man to the walkers, he leaves him for dead. And I thought that was really funny because Daryl doesn't know a lot of French, but he knows that when serving or offering food, the French like to say bon appetit before offering their meal. And that's exactly what Daryl was doing, offering a meal to these walkers. So I thought that was brilliant. Really, really funny. Daryl makes it inside to save Laurent, and he has this fight on the catwalk with Quinn. And again, I love seeing Daryl in action. He's just so badass. So seeing him fight Quinn was really cool. He had the opportunity to take him out and he didn't, obviously because Laurent was sitting there watching, and he probably didn't want to kill, his dad right in front of him. That probably wouldn't go down too well. Anyway, they escape and they go to Isabelle, and she tells them that she is staying in Paris and going back to Quinn in order for Laurent to leave with Daryl safely, because she knows that Quinn has a lot of influence over the city and who comes in and out of the city and whatnot. So if she stays as a slave, I guess you could say, to Quinn, then she knows that Laurent has left safely and can get to the nest. But this is where I get really confused in the plot, because Daryl doesn't know where the nest is. Laurent has no clue what's going on. He didn't even know he was the Messiah or whatever it was that Isabelle leads him to believe. So I'm like, okay, well, they don't really know where they're going apart from the guy on the boat. They don't really know where to go when they're outside. They kind of needed either Sylvie or Isabelle in order to get out. And next, why would Quinn let Laurent, who's supposedly his son, leave to go where? Wouldn't he want to protect him at his own mansion or the club or whatever it is? Why would he let Laurent leave with Daryl, this stranger that's just beat him up? Like, surely Isabelle would think that that wouldn't be a process in his head for him to go, yeah, okay, off you go. Just seems very, very odd. And I'm really curious to see why Quinn wants her so bad. Is it purely because of their history? Is it a collector thing? Like he just wants her as a collectible? I know that sounds so bad, using a woman as a trophy, but is it that? I'm also really curious about Janae. Why is she experimenting on these walkers? It seems like she's trying to enhance them. Why would she want to enhance monsters? Like, what is her intent or her purpose with that? The scene where she was comforting the baby was really confusing to me, because I felt like she had a little bit of love there, like a maternal sort of instinct to want to care or quiet down this baby. Like she's so mad at these people for having faith because maybe she had faith and she lost a child, and that's why she wants to remove that faith. Like it's rotten. Faith is rotten to her. But at the same time, she's just so eerie that I was like, is she going to do an alpha right now? Like do something to this baby? Like, is she going to like hurt this baby? So I was sort of torn between like, oh, she's all right, and what's she doing? It was really confusing, but I'm really curious to see more about her character. And finally, I want to know more about Laurent, if he is the cure. The dream sequence at the start had us lead to believe that he's immune to these zombies, but then we get to the Eiffel Tower part, and that variant, the strong or smart variant of Walker tries to attack him. So it's like he's not immune in that scene, but he is in Daryl's dream. I call it a dream sequence. So I'm curious to see something that shows whether he is or isn't immune. Not saying that I want the kid to get attacked, but I want to see something, because I feel like his birth was a miracle, sure, but like my daughter's birth was a miracle. You know what I mean? She's not the Messiah. So I kind of want to see where Isabelle is getting this theory or all her faith from, that he is a kid that is going to be the hope and the cure for a new world and a better world. Kind of like the new world's going to need Laurent, not the new world's going to need Rick Grimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is their faith so high in this kid? Like, show us something so we believe in this kid as well. I'm really curious to see something like that. I know it sounds like I've got a lot of questions at the end of that. I just bombarded it with questions there, but I really like this series. I like the characters. I really want to see more of Sylvie, you know, like, is she going to have a relationship? She was sort of questioning Isabelle if she's allowed to with her faith and things like this. Codron, I think his name is, the soldier. I really like his character. Maybe we can see, you know, how he became a soldier or his relationship with his brother, who we now know is dead. But yeah, a little bit more about him. And also, I just mentioned Janae. I would like to really see how she rose to power. I know that they mentioned in episode 1 at the end there about her father. Her father used to control the fleet, or does control the fleet, or something like this, something to do with her parents. And I really want to see her rise to power and why she has so much authority in France. So there's some things that I'd really like to see. And I really hope that they do show us some of that stuff rather than kill off these characters that we know or we're starting to get to know and starting to really like what happened in Dead City. In Dead City, I was really getting to know that community, and I thought, oh, like, this is good, and we'll lead into a second series. And then that little group that they like let you love and let you get to know for a few episodes there, they just kill them all off. So I really hope that they don't do that with this series. I really hope that we stick and get to know the group. And yeah, then they can expand and add characters and obviously eventually kill some characters off. That's bound to happen in a series, but I just hope that they don't do that really soon and just leave it being, you know, Daryl and Laurent to take us into season 2. So we will see, but they're my hopes for Daryl Dixon. Sounds like very high expectations. I'm sorry about that if it does. But anyway, I really love this series is the point of that. And let me know in the comment section if you love this series as well. I would love to hear your thoughts, because I feel like not enough people are watching this because they feel like you need to have watched the end of The Walking Dead in order to watch this. With Dead City, I would say, yes, you probably do need to know the conflict between Maggie and Negan, obviously. But Daryl Dixon, that's what I love about it, is it feels like its own spin-off. Like, it feels entirely separate from The Walking Dead, and I like that. I really do. I also love that it's mostly during daylight, so we do get to see these beautiful settings. And speaking of beautiful settings, let me just quickly talk about, before I wrap up, the ending. The ending of this episode was just so innocent. It was really beautiful. We went from, you know, all these fights and all this action to this. The music was just so hopeful, I think is the descriptive term that I could use there. And it was just so beautiful to see Daryl and Laurent, these two people who have always been stuck in their own little world. Neither of them have seen Paris. Neither of them have seen all these beautiful landmarks. And both of them were just taking in the sights with that hopeful music just playing in the background. And they were just literally exploring France or Paris, just exploring it on this boat. And that was so, it was stunning to just watch that, you know, with the music playing like that. It was just really hopeful, and there was just so much innocence to it. And I really, really enjoyed that it ended that really hectic and full-on episode just so calmly. It was really beautiful. But anyway, again, let me know in the comments what you thought about it, the ending, all of it, whatever. And if you're not already, please subscribe to my channel and also to my other YouTube channel where I do all my gaming. I'm looking for subs over there as well. So even if you're not into gaming, please head on over there, give me a subscribe. Yeah, and check me out on my socials. But until then, I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.